A peace and blessings to you. My name is Jerry B. I am the EntreMusician, and so are you. And so are these two brothers who's sitting at your screen, one to the left, one at the bottom. We're going to talk about NFTs. We're going to talk about the Metaverse. We're going to talk about Bitcoin, crypto, and how that translates into our getting into what's really happening. I have a lot of questions. I've received a lot of questions that I don't have answers to. So I brought two experts on. Now, everyone knows attorney John Sheil, at least you should. If you don't, you better ask somebody, because he is an incredible attorney in Cincinnati, Ohio, specializing in entertainment attorney, representing all kinds of EntreMusicians, producers, etc., and really hooked up with Bootsy Collins and his crew. So thank you, John, for coming on. You've been on this platform before, brother, but how are you today?
I'm doing great. And I want to clarify something, that although I do have a law license on my wall and I consider myself a legal expert, and I have been practicing music-focused law for the past 10 years.
Yeah.
NFTs are a brand new world, so I don't want anyone to think that I am the expert in NFTs.
We're calling you an expert. Forget it. You just got to roll with it today. I mean,
well, here's the thing. I've been, since we last spoke, I've been doing a lot of research, and I feel like I'm getting up to speed, but just so that everybody understands, I haven't minted my first NFT yet. So I think it's really important to understand that I'm right there with the viewer.
Yeah.
I have a lot of questions, but I have some answers, and I do have obviously a legal background, and I've got a creator's background, and I've not only been a producer and musician. Unlike other attorneys, I'm still putting shows on the stage, doing lights, sound, and I'm promoting my own music for ads, TV, and film. So I'm still in the game.
Yeah,
on a creator side. So I view it very much from the perspective of our audience.
Well, here's the thing, and I appreciate your explanation, but John promised the last time that he was on the platform, and go back and check out that podcast. It was an excellent podcast, but he promised to be our legal expert. So today we're holding his feet to the fire. So if he wants to plead the fifth or whatever he wants to do, he can do that. But we're grateful that he came back on. But I just met my new best friend this morning, and I got to give a shout out to Isabella Bedoya, who is my personal coach in music marketing. And I asked her about coming on to the show to, give us her perspective. And she says, I have an absolute expert for you. His name is Death Beach. He's out in San Diego. And she hooked us up like within 5 minutes of my text to her. So hello, new best friend, Death Beach. Blessings to you, man. Welcome to the platform.
Really good to be here. And I agree with John here as far as people being experts in NFT and the Metaverse.
Yeah.
I certainly know a lot, and I can talk for days about this subject. But if you talk to anybody that's really in it, they'll all tell you nobody knows anything.
Wow.
I mean, we're all making it up as we go along. I'm curious to hear some legal things from John regarding NFTs. Some of it's not as dicey, but the Metaverse seems pretty dicey. Yeah, man, I'm a music producer from California, and probably about the last year and a half, I've been studying blockchain. And in the very beginning, I learned about NFTs, and I immediately thought, like, whoa, why aren't we doing this for music? And I began a YouTube channel where I talk about music and NFT, and within months, it just started exploding.
Wow. That's
now I also work with a social token company called Pools that just launched.
Is that right? Well, we'll make sure that we have all of that information in the description box of this particular video, as well as those of you who listen to the podcast, because as I told DB this morning, I said, I feel like I'm just walking into the door. I'm standing in the lobby. I see all of these rooms, and my wife and I have just started investing in crypto, and she's in real estate, and I'm an EntreMusician. So what does this mean for us? So we're really navigating it. But today we're going to give you all of the answers. At least I'm going to ask the questions. They're going to give you the answers that they know at least up to this point. And the first question that I have, and DB, I guess I'll kick it to you, because being a producer, being a musician, what's all the fuss about? I mean, we've just gotten settled into taking these ridiculous statements from Spotify and streaming. Now we have to dive into a whole new thing. Why the fuss over NFTs?
Well, NFTs seek to eliminate all the challenges that we have as music artists or really anybody doing business where we have to deal with an intermediary. And especially something like Spotify, where your song could do really well, but you're being paid every couple of months in your royalties. Yeah. And you're really trusting Spotify's accounting of what's coming to you. And to do an audit on them would, it's going to cost you tons and tons of money. So it's never going to happen. With NFTs on the blockchain, we can see everything. It's public. We can follow all the transactions. We can see who bought what. Eventually, we'll be able to see who streamed what. We're not quite there yet. But if you did an NFT release of your song or your album versus just putting it out on streaming, you could make all your money in the course of a weekend without anybody taking a cut. And in the case of artists that are signed, a typical artist that's signed makes maybe 12%, 15%, 20% if they have a really good lawyer that's negotiating for them. Yeah. But in the case of NFTs, you own 100%. So if you put together a team to help you promote your NFT and do everything, you can leave 50% for your team and keep 50% for yourself. And you're still making more than you would on a record label. And you're also making it in a shorter amount of time. So you actually have the capital that you can then reinvest and also live off of. And I think that that's really the big hype, is like that dream that, we can all get there. And I believe that we can, because in the case of streaming, you're relying on a few different factors, whereas with NFTs, really you want to build a community, like your fan base, and activate them to go purchase your NFT. So it makes it a little bit easier to sell. And whenever you're doing this, you can also kind of gamify things. And through the gamification, you can get your fans to bring in even more fans.
I see. Now, let me ask what is a very naive question, because, I understand NFTs to be simultaneously the currency, perhaps the art, the graphic art, as well as music or video, like all wrapped up in one. What don't I understand about that? Is it all the same thing? It could be subdivided, or is it just this one thing?
So NFT is really just code that runs on the blockchain, and the code points to an asset, the music, the video, whatnot. The NFT is not the picture. The NFT is not the music. The NFT is not the video. They're separate entities. NFT is, I like to think it's code, but I like to think of it as a technology. And it's almost like a 4-dimensional technology, because we can do multiple things with it that would have required a few different services right now without NFT to accomplish. Sorry, I just lost my train of thought.
All right.
Let me jump in, and for those who are listening who might be thinking like, what is in it for me? And just give me kind of a high level overview. I think, first of all, Death Beach is totally right in that this puts the power back in the hands of the creators. And I think it's really important for the creative entrepreneurs, the folks who are listening to this podcast, to understand that this takes the power out of the hands of investors or record labels or other sources of funding. When, like Death Beach said, if you are generating a tribe, if you're building a tribe, you're engaging with your fan base, you can activate them to hype up your NFT. And if you think about NFTs like a collectible, like, I have some mugs, right? This one's got my law firm logo on it. If there are a very limited number of these, I think I only have like 6 left, but some of my clients have them. And if my clients go out there and say, I have this mug and it's one of 10 and there's only 10, but I'll sell it to you for $100. I bought it for 50, but now I'm going to turn around and I'm sell it to you. It's a unique item. It's a limited run item. And if you think about it from the creator standpoint, if you did 1,000 and you sold them to your fan base, maybe you have 10,000 fans across the United States or across the globe. And if you sold 1,000 of these for $1,000, well, do the math. You're generating $1 million in revenue that's coming in, that yes, you can pay your team, you can pay a producer, you can pay the video guys, you can create a really powerful set of products that can all be, as Death Beach mentioned, assets that the blockchain technology then points to.
Now, let me ask this question.
I was going to say,
okay, I'm sorry.
It can also be connected to a physical in-person experience. So someone could show up to your shows and get front row seats because they're one of the 1,000 holders.
That's excellent, because that's the question I was going to ask with the experience as well. So now when you talk about getting paid, we use that terminology. We as musicians usually think in dollars and cents. So is this currency only running in crypto, or is it being, brought back into the quote unquote real world as far as your payments for your NFT, for your service, for the experience, for the concert tickets, or is it all being done in crypto?
I've personally seen both. As far as what you're getting paid out in, typically you're dealing with a site that's the fan is paying in Ethereum, and then that's probably what you're going to receive. So it typically does all stay in crypto. Okay. And the big benefit to this is, if you would have gotten in a year ago, whenever I was first telling people to do NFTs, Ethereum was $400. So if you would have sold it for one Ethereum for $400, that would be worth $4,000 now.
I see.
And we're in a weird place in the cycle for crypto right now. So the idea that you could get in one Ethereum now and it's going to go to 20 grand in a couple of months, we could be seeing a downtrend. I see. But that kind of is the benefit to working within crypto. And then on top of it, staying in crypto, Ethereum's uncensorable money.
Mm-hmm. So why so many coins? I'm sorry, John. Why?
This can go to your question as to, I think that just so that people have a caveat, and lawyers love to think about what's the worst case scenario, right? That's kind of what keeps us in business. Yeah. But if you think that all of the current cryptocurrency coins that are out there are going to be in existence a year or two from now, you may be looking at it incorrectly. Mm-hmm. If you think about a stock market, or think about the stock market at a particular point in time, say in the late 90s, 98, 99, 2000, right before the tech bubble burst, there was this run up of stocks, and it's happening today. I mean, there are companies out there that are valued at billions of dollars, but they haven't put out a product yet. And so there are some blockchain coins that are based in a value add. There are others that are purely collectible and purely speculative, and some of those are going to get shaken out by a bursting of the bubble. Okay. And so that's really important to understand. But there are certainly those like Ethereum, Bitcoin, that are a little more stable, a little more entrenched, have a little bit, for example, the coding of Ethereum is what allows these smart contracts that allow like a creator to then generate a royalty from every resale, every future sale. And that's really important to think about. So while I'm throwing out a caution that all the coins out there that exist in cryptocurrency are not going to exist forever, some will go away because they will lose value and they will become less usable in the metaverse. But others will maintain and will add value and will continue to use for functionality just like this. But as a content creator, if you're using things like smart contracts, you have to think, if I'm going with a reputable crypto like Ethereum, and it's allowing me to sell an NFT for $1,000, and then any future sales, I get 20, 30, 40% of the future resale, you can actually end up getting your fan base to hype up both that currency and your NFT, because they're saying, hey, this is really valuable. This is one of 10 non-fungible tokens, but it's also using Ethereum, which is stable and has weathered the storms. So it's about consumer confidence just as much as it is collectability. Rare currency, rare coins, and rare NFTs, rare mugs are going to be super valuable in the future.
Now you mentioned smart contracts. Then this is an attorney question, I'm sure. But so what is the process of smart contracts with each transaction? Is there already a template from it, or does the creator have to draw up one of these with every transaction? What happens with that?
Well, and DB can correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that the goal of the coding of Ethereum, the creator of Ethereum, was to enable this sort of thing, because as he described in an interview, he was talking about the difference between a taxi driver and Uber. Uber sort of puts this intermediary in between the people doing the work, the driving, and the payment system, right? And so what he was trying to do is get it back to, okay, you're a taxi driver, I'm paying you to take me where I want to go. So it's putting it back in the hands of the creator or the driver, and putting those small business owners in charge. And so Ethereum specifically uses a technology that allows the transparency of contracts. And so, as DB was mentioning, all the transactions are going to be visible. There's transparency. So if, as a part of your NFT, the requirements are that, and keep in mind that just on a basic level, contracts are just a meeting of the minds. It's an agreement by parties, and anything that's over $500 as sort of a standard rule of thumb, anything worth over $500 or that could last longer than a year has to be in writing to be valid. And so, or that contract has to be in writing to be enforceable. That's the best way to say it. But this allows all of that in a secure technology where all the transactions are transparent. So as a part of the offering, if you're saying, well, buy my NFT and understand that 20% of future sales always come back to help fund future projects for me as an artist, then your fan says, oh, great. Well, I'm going to buy that. I'm going to support you with 100% of the money now. And then in the future, when I decide, okay, I'm trading rare coins or rare NFTs, and I've got this one, and somebody wants to pay me $60,000 and I paid $1,000, well, sure, I'm getting wealthier because my collectible is worth a lot more, but also the artist is getting a piece of that. And so they're actually helping to fund your future. And that's just a part of engaging with that fan base, building your tribe, and having them help support you for the rest of your creative lifespan.
Well, may I ask then, and DB, can I ask then, how many smart contracts have you been, because you're actively engaged in it, involved in, and you're seeing the process move along, and there's been no ripples, it's just been advancement and progress. Is that right in the real world for how you're dealing?
Yeah. So first off, smart contracts are not smart, and they're not actually contracts. Again, they're code. The contract is that it's going to do what you tell it to do, that you can program it that whenever it gets resold, a royalty goes back to somebody. But it's not, I guess it's legally binding as far as you being the owner, but as far as like it being music, okay, and you purchase my music NFT, the rights for the music is completely separate from the smart contract. So I can include an end user license as a download with it, or a link to one. CryptoKitties and Dapper Labs made a really nice end user agreement that you can just, and they have a link for it online. You can just plug it in. So as far as where to get smart contracts, so you can go to a site called GitHub, and there's an Open Zeppelin NFT smart contract written in Solidity for Ethereum. So you can take one of those and you can plug stuff in. There's plenty of tutorials on YouTube walking you through where to plug stuff in and how to do these. But then there's also sites. I use one called NiftyKit, and NiftyKit allows you to have your own custom smart contract, and you put in like the name of the collection, you put in the name of the coin and a description, and that's it. All the other coding's done behind the scenes. So it's very simple. And then they even have NiftyKit has what they call drop contracts, where we see the 10,000 avatar projects that some of them are randomly generated and things like that. So NiftyKit offers a contract that's like that, but we can also get the same type of contract off of GitHub. And getting it off of GitHub versus using NiftyKit is just really fine tuning the customization.
I see. So then Harold over here, this new entre musician who's watching this and going, okay, well, I can just go to Nifty Kit and I can download the drop contract, and I have this great piece of music that I want to sell. I mean, is it that easy? Is it a 1, 2, 3? What are the things that Harold needs to like interpret? Because we've been dealing with, first of all, the traditional music system, which is blown apart, and now he's used to, or she's used to, the streaming, and we had to go through all of that. So now he or she can just turn around and say, I'm going to Nifty Kit, I'm going to get my drop contract, I have this piece of music, and I can 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I can be in the door.
Yeah,
just like that.
The creation of an NFT is unbelievably easy. Unbelievably easy. So everybody gets really intimidated by like, I got to make an NFT. Like, what is that? That part is really easy. The part that's really difficult is building the community and getting people to go and purchase your NFT. Everybody thinks that it's difficult to make the NFT and then it's going to be on a marketplace and somebody's going to give them millions of dollars. Like, it's just really not how it works at all. You need to activate your fan base and get them to go buy it. But Nifty Kit, you literally log in with your email. You can pay with a debit card, okay, to like buy the smart contract and start your account there. They charge you $9.99 a month to be able to sell in their marketplace, and it comes with one free smart contract. Once you have that smart contract, you don't have to continue paying monthly with them. You own that smart contract, and you can continue to mint on other sites such as OpenSea. But you log in with your email, you pay, you click on create smart contract, you put in a banner for the little image, you put in a main profile picture for the project, the name of the collection, the name you want for the coin, and a description, hit create. You've now created a smart contract that you can mint NFTs on. Now that you've done that, now we need to mint the NFT. So I like to tell people, type all this into a Word document so that you can copy paste. Once the NFT is minted, you're not going back and changing anything.
Gotcha.
So type up everything that you need, have your image ready to go. Whenever you go to mint the NFT, you upload the image, you put in the name of the NFT, description of the NFT, mint. And then it's minted. Now the next step is to just sell it. So you have to tell the blockchain that we're going to sell it. So every step of the process gets written to the blockchain. That's why there's like steps like this. So first you mint it, and it's just minted on the blockchain. It's not available for sale. And then you say, okay, I'm going to sell this item. And then you say what you want to sell it for. And at this point is where you also set up, John's my collaborator, and he gets 50% of the sale. And this is his address. Nifty Kit's on Polygon, so it splits very easily. But it's really that simple to get an NFT up and going. It's really all the other stuff, like whenever somebody buys my NFT, they just get my song, or do they get special access to a Discord group? Is there some sort of AMA? Is there a gated link that you have to have the NFT for to unlock the link so that you can watch my live stream? These are the things that are a little bit more difficult. And then also setting up the token gating is the difficult part. But the creation of the NFT is super easy.
Wow. So, I mean, of course, my mind is going, okay, are there any, if it's so easy to do, are there any legal ramifications? Is there any room for a dispute of any kind? Is there,
Sure. So copyright still works exactly the same. You simply have to own the item in order to put it up and make money off of it. If you don't, then the big difference is, like, if I upload a song to Spotify that I don't own the rights to, Spotify will take it down. In the case of blockchain, it's written to the blockchain. You cannot remove it from the blockchain. However, platforms can blacklist your NFT token.
I see.
So in some instances, it being blacklisted could make it worth more, and selling it on the black market could be very lucrative. But more than likely, that's going to hurt you if you're doing that type of thing. So you want to make sure that you own the rights for whatever it is that you're uploading, just outright, like undisputed. Outside of that, with NFTs, I really haven't found anything that would be too legally restrictive. Outside of a music artist that's already in a record contract, and them being able to create a new NFT and keep 100% of it. That I don't think they can do.
Understood.
So let me jump in if I could, just because I think if people are thinking about this from the 50,000 foot level, and how does this fit into my music career? How does this fit into what I'm trying to do? While yes, this is a way to take power back from the traditional record label model where they're financing your project, you can actually self-finance through sale of NFTs to your fans. But it's about creating a product that inherently has some value. You know, if I go to a concert and I love that band and I buy their sweatshirt at the shop there, I may be paying $50 for a sweatshirt. So clearly I'm giving them, you know, my love by buying that product right from the merch table. Maybe they come out and they sign it afterwards, and that adds value to the product. But if you think about NFTs as a piece of your overall career, your overall product line as a business, as a musician, as a business, you're putting out a product that then has additional value, that the limits are only your imagination. It could include a ticket to your shows. It could include a sweatshirt that you mail out. It could include whatever you want. It could include a video game that's just for the people who have the blockchain, or who knows, an alternate takes of the recordings, all sorts of things. That's just a piece of it. It doesn't mean also that you're only limited to having your song come out on the NFT. It could still be distributed on Spotify, but that's a loss leader. That's like when Kroger sells milk for less than what they really paid for it. You're not making as much on the Spotify listening, but the Spotify then becomes a tool for lots of people to hear your music and say, I love this guy and I'm going to go buy his NFT, which is a higher price point. It's a more valuable product, and it includes some unique things that are really just for that product. But look, humans are going to find a way to cause legal issues. So just like if I go out in the parking lot and I buy a sweatshirt with the logo on it, that guy in the parking lot might not actually have the rights to sell that. So that could be a trademark violation. And what DB just said there about these blacklisted tokens, keep in mind that the blockchain is not going to be erased. So if as a lawyer say, oh my gosh, jackpot, this guy just used my client's song and I've got all the evidence right there. There's no denying that. I'm going to bring that in court and I'm going to win. And then that could be a real problem for creators who are stealing other people's work. Yes, it might be valuable on the black market, but it's also super valuable for me and the lawyer who wants to go sue to.
Well, real quick though, there's a lot of anonymity. So how are you going to find the person in order to sue them? And that's the big issue with getting into the metaverse. I don't know if we're ready to transition there or not. But,
we're about to. Absolutely.
It's really that in the metaverse, we're talking about avatars. If it's somebody that's been in blockchain for a while, they're anonymous. Like they didn't use Coinbase, they didn't KYC to buy their Bitcoin and do whatever. They've been in it for a while. They've been anonymous the whole time. So, how do you track those people down? And then also with the metaverse and legal stuff, jurisdiction. I'm in Germany and I ripped off John's client in Ohio. I mean, where are you taking me to court?
Well, and let me just jump in on that because we've been dealing with that internationally for years. China, not to throw anybody under the bus, but it's fairly well known in the trade show industry that in certain industries, there are, let's just call it Far East marketplaces that will show up to the trade show and within like 24 hours reverse engineer a product and suddenly have a hot product that's coming out that's very, very similar to the other product. So that's, sort of theft of intellectual property has been a challenge across nations for a long time. And it's going to kind of be an arms race. And that's kind of the way it is now. There's folks who are going to become better at investigating the blockchain and finding these anonymous folks who are stealing crypto. And ultimately, it comes down to a business decision. How far do you want to push that? But the evidence is right there that if you've been ripped off, it's there's a violation of the copyright. So you still have to register your songs for copyright. You still have to register your trademarks. You still have to handle your business very much like a traditional music business entrepreneur, right?
Sure.
So don't think that the NFTs are going to take away what already exists. It's just adding to that and gives you a way to monetize your art in a new way and sort of use it to fund new projects in a new way. And really, it's about that relationship between artist and fan. And this gives a product that helps keep the fan and the artist closer together. And that should be the bottom line. This is just another tool in your toolkit to kind of advance your career and engage your fan base and create something that's super collectible. Now, just on the legislation thing real quick, I know that in January, there's going to be some new legislation coming through from Congress about cryptocurrency. There's a way that folks have been kind of buying crypto and then generating a lot of trades, and then they trade them with an anonymous wallet that's someone else to kind of reduce their cost basis. And without getting into too many stocks and bonds issues here, but like if you're going to be taxed on something that gained in value, right? If you sold it then for $1, sometimes people do that with their cars. I'm going to sell my brother my car and it's really worth 10,000, but on the title I sold it to him for $1. So he doesn't have this tax basis. Well, they are going to tighten up those rules so that you're not going to be able to have an anonymous wallet over here, buy a Bitcoin and have it go up to $100,000 from $1 and then sell it to yourself for $1 and hide all of those gains. They are, Congress at least is very keen to stop that. So there's going to be some rules, legislation tightening things up. Of course, the hacker in me is always going to say, well, there's someone that's going to work around that. But do you want to be inside the law or do you want to be outside the law? And ultimately, my advice to musicians is you got to come in out of the cold sometime. I mean, to all those folks who made sample-based mixtapes and sold them on the street corner back in the day, it's time to kind of come in out of the cold and think about this more as a legitimate business person. And that's going to get you ultimately further, I believe.
Well, if I could just add to the sample thing. So eventually, this is probably a few years out, but once everything is on the blockchain, I'll be able to sample somebody's song. But whenever I sample it, I can look at the metadata and I'll be able to see their ASCAP number. I'll be able to see like a fee. If you want to sample my song, you got to send me this, and then this is how you credit us. So all that will be there. And right now on OpenSea, if you just grab any random picture from Google Images and try to NFT it, it'll tell you that this image already exists online and ask you, are you sure you're the owner of this? And a lot of sites are starting to do this with music. They're doing like digital fingerprints of the music. So eventually things like samples, like you just won't even be able to upload it. You know what I mean? Like right now it is wild, wild west. Anybody could upload anything and the token could be blacklisted. But whenever we get to a certain point, it's going to be really difficult to do some of these shady things.
Understood. Well, let's transition into the metaverse because I think you brought up a good point earlier. But before we get into, the avatars and being able to hide your true identity, let's just back up and give a definition, if you wouldn't mind, DB, of what the metaverse is. Oh,
sure. Well, the metaverse is sort of not totally definable as we're building it right now. A few people have a couple of different takes on it. I personally just believe it is mobile internet 2.0.
3.0
or 3.0.
Yes.
Where we can actually experience the internet. Like right now we interact with it, but we'll actually be able to experience it by traveling to places inside of it. But more importantly, outside of virtual reality, which a lot of people are focused on for the metaverse, I believe we're going to see a lot more augmented reality and extended reality. And that to me is the metaverse. It's the combining of reality with the digital. And as a human walking down the street in physical reality, you're going to have this other layer that's virtual reality on top of it that you'll be able to see and interact with.
What then are the advantages as a musician to get in now? I mean, I'm imagining and just hear my crazy imagination, but I'm hearing only doing film scoring in the metaverse for movies that will be played in the metaverse only and not down the street at my local theater. I mean, that's kind of where my mind goes. Am I crazy or?
No, that's an excellent example. I mean, that's the metaverse is going to create so many more opportunities to make money. And it's literally, John said it before, like the imagination right now is the limit. But I would say the biggest benefit, if you look at any major artist, The Weeknd, a couple years ago, he did a tour. I think he played like 99 shows. He made so much money. But if you think about how many people could fit in each venue, how many people did he play to on the whole entire tour? Mm-hmm. And then you look at the Roblox concerts, and Travis Scott played to 30 million people in one night.
Sure.
I mean, that right there is the benefit. You can play to your whole entire audience. It's way more inclusive. Everybody's going to get a good seat.
The best seat in the house,
I mean,
actually.
What's that?
The best seat in the house, actually.
Yeah, best seat in the house. And you'll be able to go with your friends in the metaverse to the show. Eventually, you'll buy a T-shirt from the artist that your avatar can wear. Right. So now you and your homies are all wearing like the same shirt. You can find each other easy in the metaverse. Mm-hmm. So I think it's going to end up being almost a little bit of a better experience. You won't be sardined in with people sweating all around you at a concert.
Yeah.
So I think that those are going to be the biggest benefits.
Well, I mean, I think
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, it's just really important to understand that the imagination is the limit. I mean, if you enjoy the experience of going somewhere and being with people, this augmented reality, you could literally show up to a rented club in your city. You could go in, you could buy a drink, and then your glasses and your VR headset, you open an imaginary door and walk through, and suddenly you're there with 30 million people. And you've got this combination of physical reality and the concert that's going on simultaneously all around the globe with 30 million people. And yet you're there physically with your date or your buddies, and you're talking to your other buddy in California who's in another similar club somewhere out there. And these could be pop-up clubs. These could be parking lots that literally you walk up and you have to type in a code in midair and a door opens and you walk in and you're in. I mean, it literally could be however the team that puts it on decides. And it's just limitless. It really is.
That is nuts.
Yeah.
There are so many scenarios that you can create, but you brought up Travis Scott, and I know Marshmello, Ariana Grande, and they did shows, similarly in virtual reality, but I think they did them in Fortnite. Please correct me.
Some of them did Fortnite.
Was their deal then with the gaming company, or how, do we go back to smart contracts in just virtual world? How does that work where they say, well, we're going to play to 30 million people, whatever, how is that? How do we legitimize that? What happens? I don't even know how to ask the question, but if I were to do a concert in Sandbox, I mean, I would have to today probably partner with a gaming company, but in the future, how are those transactions made? Do I still need a manager? Do I still need a promoter? You know what I mean?
Well, I think I was just gonna say, I think that it depends on you, how much how much work that you personally want to put in. But I mean, realistically, pop up a green screen behind you, film yourself doing the show straight into the Sandbox. Now, you would have to partner with somebody if you don't own land and you haven't built a venue. But if you bought land and you built your own venue, you can build your own house and have like a little garage band and invite people from the neighborhood to come watch you play there. But yeah, I mean, it's, obviously Travis Scott and all those people, they're on labels and they're making deals with the platforms because the platform's going to help push them. Mm-hmm. But for, us, we're not there yet. I mean, we could do it. People are DJing in Decentraland and stuff like that. Yeah. It's still a little primitive.
I see.
I just was going to throw out an example, real world. So when it just so happened that when Eddie Van Halen passed, my daughter and I were having this conversation about Roblox, and she was in Bloxburg and she was making a house, and she kept showing me her house, and she kept telling me how I needed to get on there and make a house, Dad, make a house. So I made a house, and it was like red and white and black and kind of looked like Van Halen's guitar, but in a physical form with multiple layers and stuff. And she was like, yeah, that's just a weird color scheme, Dad. Why do you keep doing this red, white, and black thing? And I was like, well, one of my heroes just passed away, and so I'm kind of doing this homage to him. But now I have this house that I built in this virtual world, and she can come over anytime we log in together, and I can go to her house, and I can put, speakers in my studio, virtual studio, and I can do all that stuff. But if you imagine, that's literally what people are going to have to do, just on a bigger scale. So the DJs that are DJing in the sandbox, if they take the time to build a house that looks like Madison Square Garden, and then they invite thousands of people to come over, they can all come over. But it's right now I'm dealing with Roblox and Bloxburg, right? But Bloxburg is just a creation that somebody made, a virtual neighborhood and sets of virtual neighborhoods where, to buy extra whatever, you put in a few dollars and you get more Bloxbucks, right? Well, that's kind of how it's going to build. And I mean, this is a really simple example with a guy and his 12-year-old daughter, right? So this is just the scratching of the surface. Mm-hmm. In the future, it's, record labels and Fortnite and gaming engines and all of that stuff is going to make it more and more and more like the movie Ready Player One, mm-hmm. where everyone can log in with a suit that they wear and all the tactile sensations, and they're actually running, and they're actually in this world that could have all of these metaverses combined. The Bloxburg house plus the Fortnite plus the Minecraft plus World of Warcraft plus whatever else you can imagine is all interconnected. And then you're in the Shire or you're going to Harry Potter's castle, right, all within a matter of a day,
Wow. We need 2 more hours to really just, I don't think, I truly don't think, first of all, that I've asked the right questions. And then now I think I'm getting a grip and our time is escaping us. But just beginning with John, what do you think? Again, let's go to Harold. That's what we're naming him, this new EntreMusician. What do you think the most important thing today, after listening to this podcast or watching, that Harold needs to do, other than to go to DB's videos, which we're going to recommend? But what do you think, he or she needs to do in order to begin the process of aligning his career up with the metaverse and getting into crypto?
I think personally that they need to get a handle on their business and build their fan base. I think that really, truthfully, this is about fan engagement and building a deeper rapport with the people who can ultimately buy your NFTs or buy your hoodie or buy your whatever. If we just step back a second and we talk about the 1,000 true fan theory, if you are, as an entrepreneur, trying to sell products and services, you need more of those people who are willing to buy whatever you put out. And if you have 1,000 true fans that will buy your pen or your mug or your NFT, then you can have a career for life. And that's really what this is about. And truthfully, you'll have a career forever. Your children might be, your great grandchildren might be reaping the benefits of the things that you build today because of the nature of the metaverse and how digital technology can last beyond human lifespan. That's, I think, what people aren't kind of getting. We're just sort of scratching the surface, but this could last for generations.
Sure.
And if we step back to actual businesses can last generations as well. So I think you got to not throw out the old stuff. You've got to still talk about an LLC. You've got to understand the differences between an LLC and a C corporation. You got to understand tax rules. You got to understand just general, like copyrights, contracts, trademarks, negotiating. You got to build your skill set, but you also really have to be focused on building a fan base. Because if you don't have fans, it doesn't matter if you have the coolest video game or the coolest NFT in the world, if nobody's going to buy it because no one knows you're there. So I think it's really important that you can't throw out the baby with the bathwater, or whatever. You can't just toss out all the old stuff and think I'm going to make it in this NFT world, because you're going to you're going to quickly find that it's just another addition to layers of human behavior that have been happening for thousands of years. So build your fan base, build your tribe, and forget about the people who don't love you. They can hang out with all your exes. All my exes live in Texas. Go to Texas, but then find all the people that really do love you,
right,
and get them talking about it, and get them talking to each other about the things that you're putting out. And I think that's really, because this technology is going to grow. It's going to evolve. It's going to be here. It's here now, and it's going to get even better in the future. So take some time to focus on the fundamentals of who you are as an artist, who you are as a business, and who your fans are, and really connect with them. Because you don't have to rush to have an NFT tomorrow.
Yeah.
What you can do is build a fan base, and then they'll all buy it when you have it.
Right. Now, that's great advice. Now, so DB, though, you've already been coaching artists in NFTs. You have great information on your website. And again, you know, the links and everything will be here in the description box. But from the standpoint of someone who's been in it for a couple, you're not a beginner, you're not a novice, and the artists that you were working with, say they're 2 or 3 years into it, what pivots would you, or safeguards would you say, this is a good move now that you've got your NFT, now that you've done all of the things that John has talked about? Here is another layer that you need to look at to kind of solidify your fan base, your promotion of your avatar, whatever. What?
Sure. I think it's really important that before you make an NFT, buy an NFT. Get into a Discord group, see what's going on, get into a couple of different Discord groups so that you can see how they're structured. Now, Discord may not be your thing, but right now in the Discord groups, there's all kinds of like games and contests, a lot of engagement with the people that are in the Discord. So I think it's important that people really understand how that functions. And before you mint an NFT, actually buy one and get into the experience of what's going on. And I like full-heartedly agree with John. Right now, make content, build a fan base. I was actually thinking about this earlier. You know, eventually I see musicians token gating live performances. So if you're just starting out, or even if you're kind of established, you need to start figuring out, and this goes to what he was saying as well about planning, you need to start figuring out how you're going to take your audience from here and bring them all the way over to here where you know we're going. So I was thinking like, you know, Instagram, you know, you get maybe like a minute-long video, start trying to perform live, do different things, find out what your audience likes. Then once you know that, maybe then you can start thinking about, okay, I'm going to create an NFT, and whenever they buy it, they get to come to the Discord and see me perform live in a channel that nobody else can see. Wow. You know, to be thinking like that, but you need the experience of buying an NFT and going through that whole process. And even buying crypto, looking at different blockchains. Each blockchain kind of has its own vibe. Ethereum's fun, but it's also a little corporate. And then you look at something like Solana. Solana has a lot of bright colors, a certain type of color scheme, and they have a certain type of vibe. Cardano has its own vibe. So those are like larger communities all in of their own. So I think it's important to kind of like look around, see what those different blockchains are like, different types of functionality and some of the smart contracts, things like that, to kind of start learning about blockchain, what you can do with it, and then purchasing NFTs from all these different blockchains just to get the experience.
Two very incredible answers from the both of you. And I know when we began, you said you were not experts, but I think that we've at least opened the door to some incredible conversation. And I hope that in a couple of months, maybe we can reconvene again. You know, I'll certainly know how to ask better questions about it, because I'll be, you know, taking the advice that you guys are giving me, because I really am very much interested. And I just have all of this incredible, not incredible, but it's crazy imagination going on. And it's like, what is this? What is that? Because I know we are just pioneers into this, and I want to know as much as I can about it. So, you know, I do try to share information accordingly as I receive it. DB, Death Beach, San Diego, California. Incredible studios, worked with tons of people, Grammy winners, artists from all over. And I'm sure that if you booked a session with him, he would take crypto for payment. I'm almost sure of that. Right. His information is in the description box. And our resident legal authority attorney, John Sheil, Cincinnati, Ohio. Thank you so much for joining us. And we'll be on again. In fact, John just, as far as Facebook is concerned, he has a thriving group in the music business mentorship. So go and check it out. Join the group. I think he lets anybody in. He let me in, so he may let you in as well. But
we'd love to have you.
Check him out on Facebook. Great advice and great chatter that's going on in that group. And gentlemen, I really appreciate your time today. But once again, Deaf Beach and attorney John Sheil, they are EntreMusicians. My name is Jerry B. I am an EntreMusician, but the most important thing is so are you. And we will see you next time. God bless.